Call this meeting to order. We have a half-hour meeting with Mr. Ruckman and the utilities to discuss the water treatment plant contract with Kekosing Industrial Incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we have some developments in this area. I am going to turn it over to Safety Services Director Salyers, and he has a presentation for us this evening, which all of you should have received.
Thank you, council member, council members, and yes, we've been hard at work on this for quite some time. Since the last piece of legislation where we were authorized to find a CMAR, but if you remember, that piece of legislation did not afford us the opportunity to go into contract. Sometimes the legislation will allow us to go out to, or authorize us to bid for that, and then sign the contract as soon as we find that that right person for that job. This one, we wanted to make sure that we brought it back to council. You know, another couple steps along the process just to inform everybody. So this is what we're doing here. We're at 30% design on the wastewater plant. Now is the time that you bring the CMAR in. So I want to give everybody kind of a refresher course on our wastewater treatment plant progress and why it is that we're doing this project, and just kind of give a good overview, not only for council, but for the public, for the media, everybody in the room. So I've got our guys from Arcadis with us. These are our design engineers. They've been very helpful in this process. I'll bring them up and let them introduce themselves real quick, and then I'll get into my presentation here.
I'm Joe Jacobs with Arcadis.
I am Dan Garnett with Arcadis.
All right. These guys have been very influential, not only with the design process of the wastewater treatment plant, but also our rate study. They've been the guys that have been willing to help us deliver the bad news. So, boo hiss. No. All right. Yeah. All right. Council, tonight I'll be walking you through the wastewater treatment plant improvements proposal. So what's driving it, how the construction manager at risk, or CMAR model, will deliver the best outcome for the city, and how this project fits within our already planned and soon to be adopted rate model. This is one of the most important infrastructure investments Mount Vernon will make over the next decade, and it will ensure that we meet state and federal requirements, maintain reliable wastewater treatment capacity, and position ourselves for sustainable growth well into the future. So, Mr. Mayor, if you'll. So the project purpose. This project ensures that Mount Vernon continues to meet state and federal discharge requirements, particularly in phosphorus removal, which is now a key compliance factor under our Ohio EPA permit. It also improves our solids handling capacity and overall plant reliability, protecting the Kekosing River, public health, and the long-term livability of our community. So the city's current MPDES, which is a big old acronym that means National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit, requires the significant phosphorus reduction by 2027. Our existing facility simply wasn't built for today's nutrient standards. So through this upgrade, we'll add biological nutrient removal and chemical phosphorus precipitation, introduce redundancy, and that's a big one for us, redundancy to aging systems, and modernize our plant controls. So this is about more than just compliance, and that's a big one for us, compliance, but it's more than just compliance. It's about protecting our natural environment, enabling future residential, commercial, and industrial growth, and including, and that includes, of course, new housing and local business development. So, move forward here. And these are key factors. Now, again, I'm breaking all the rules of PowerPoint when I do stuff like this, but I want you to have these points available to you. Why this project matters now. So, we've got a list of things here. We cannot delay the compliance. Of course, the Ohio EPA phosphorus limits are mandated, and fines for inaction are significant. These systems are aging and failing. In fact, we had to look at our Director of Public Utilities. Recently, we had to, as recently as what, the last week or so?
Last week.
Yep, we had to purchase a panel, electrical panel for our one of our processing boards from eBay. So that is a red flag. I am telling you today, hi, I'm a red flag. When you can't get it from a when you can't get it from a vendor and you have to get it from eBay, that's a critical situation. Each year of delay, you know, these construction costs rise every year and EPA compliance deadlines don't move. Each year of delay adds a 6 to 8% inflationary cost, which means at this point, $2 to $3 million. Furthermore, weighting risks our eligibility for low interest financing and potential principal forgiveness through what we're looking at right now, Ohio EPA's Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, which you should be familiar with, the WIPCLIF. Love those acronyms. So the Ohio EPA's phosphorus limits are firm, and failure to comply could lead to fines, consent orders, and restrictions that harm both our finances, our reputation for proactive environmental management, and ultimately our local economy depends on reliable wastewater capacity from new housing to industry. And this project protects our river, our community, and our city's ability to grow responsibly. We like to talk about, you know, hellbenders and lampreys are returning to the Kokosing River. That's native species that are shown back up in the Kokosing because of the water quality and the increasing water quality in the Kokosing, and that's something to be proud of. And that's because these phosphorus reductions have been maintained and the Ohio EPA is watching those levels. And that's something that we, as the city, have been watching and contributing to the reduction of those. And that's something they're very serious about, that we're very serious about. And this is a driving factor too. So doing nothing is not an option. And again, this project protects our residents, our river, our growth, and our future. So project drivers. Our plant is aging and operating near its design limits. Many of the major systems date back to the 1970s and 1980s. The last time we did a project of this magnitude in the wastewater plant, I mean, you can just kind of eyeball it and look at it. The last time we did something this significant, people were talking about the young upstart Jimmy Carter. So it's time to really get in and fix the failing systems in our wastewater treatment plant. We currently treat around 3 million gallons per day on average, but can experience peaks of over 6 million gallons during heavy rainfall events. The EPA's new phosphorus discharge limit is 1 milligram per liter, which requires new processes and equipment, again, that our current system cannot meet without these upgrades. At the same time, maintenance costs are increasing and redundancy is limited. Right now, a single failure in certain systems could interrupt service continuity. These improvements will modernize the facility, enhance storm resilience, and prepare the system for another 40 years of reliable operation, ensuring our investment today secures tomorrow's stability. So the project scope. This project addresses phosphorus treatment, upgrades solids handling, modernizes electrical and controls systems, and importantly, keeps the plant fully operational during construction. And in the next slide, we'll talk about Kokosing a little bit more, but that's a key part of Kokosing's maintenance of plant operations plan, and that's why we were really impressed with them, maintaining the continuous treatment while construction occurs in carefully phased segments. Specific upgrades include phosphorus removal, installation of new chemical feed systems that update clarifiers, and enhance sludge digestion. A lot of fun words with this one, yes. Solids handling. So that's an addition of thickening and dewatering equipment to reduce the disposal and hauling costs. electrical and SCADA modernization, so new controls, backup generation, and redundant switchgear that doesn't require us to go out and find it on eBay. Process redundancy, ensuring backup systems for critical operations. So in the case of something, going awry, we don't have lines of trucks on Cougar Drive hauling away our solids and waste. And finally, future flexibility, and this is a big one. Design allows modular expansion if flow or regulations change. So this approach ensures the city maintains compliance and operational stability throughout that construction and for future growth. So I want to go ahead and say that we have approached this with the rate model integration, which we'll talk about in a second, with 2 phases. One, there is the necessary phase that we have to upgrade the plant, right? So this plant is reaching the end of its life, its service life. That will be the bulk of the cost, is to upgrade a lot of the failing infrastructure of this plant. Also, we want to consider the capacity of what we're looking at too. Mount Vernon is a community that people want to move to and businesses want to move to, and we want to provide that opportunity for them. Simultaneously, we have adopted the mantra that growth should pay for growth. So what we want to do in this phasing is, one, go ahead and move forward with the necessary upgrades to this plant, and 2, have the design controls already in place. That way, as we move forward with the construction of this phase, we have the design in place for should a lot of the developments that we've heard about or are in the pipeline, if you will, not to use a pun here, but if those actually come to fruition by the time that it is necessary to build some of these things out, then we'll be ready to complete this phase of construction and then move into that second phase, but the design will be done. Because we've been talking about design of this plant for some time. And what we don't want to do is the day, to just speak plainly, the day that this plant is ready to come online, flip the switch, and the EPA shows up and says, hey, good news, or bad, you're already at capacity. You can't build another house. You can't have another business come into Mount Vernon. You don't want to be at that level. So we want to do some due diligence planning now, have the design in place for that phase 2, which is essentially another clarifier to bring on some more, capacity. But we don't need to put the shovel in the ground on that until we know that the ratepayers would be there to shoulder that burden, and we shouldn't stick that on the current ratepayers in the city of Mount Vernon. So we'll keep moving forward here. Why CMAR delivery? You've heard this 1,000 times. Prepare to hear it 1,001. Why are we doing this? The construction manager at risk approach lets us bring the contractor in early before construction, and that's to collaborate on design, budgeting, and scheduling. In a traditional design bid build model, the contractor only sees plans once they're complete, which can lead to cost overruns and change orders. In CMAR, the contractor and design engineer work together from the beginning, providing constructability reviews, real-time cost estimates, and schedule coordination. The CMAR model provides what they call a guaranteed maximum price, or a GMP, which protects the city financially and keeps the project on track through constant collaboration. So why did we choose Kokosing? So we had 3 submittals. We chose Kokosing primarily because Kokosing is the right partner for this project. They are headquartered not only in Ohio, but particularly in Knox County, and they have a lot of employees right here in Mount Vernon. So if we're going to spend ratepayer dollars, again, separating taxpayer from ratepayer, but if we're going to spend ratepayer dollars on a project, we would like to see those project dollars be circulated in our community for our community, keeping our people employed at home, right? So we have they are headquartered locally in Fredericktown. We have an extensive experience. They have extensive experience working in our plant and have partnered successfully with our design engineer, Arcadis, on multiple wastewater projects across Ohio. They understand our systems, our staff and our operational expectations, and they bring a proven quality management and documentation system that keeps everyone aligned. And their project management tools ensure transparent reporting, cost control, and safety compliance, all while supporting local labor and economic benefit right here in Knox County. So that's why Kokosing. Now, the least fun slide. All right. So the total estimated cost. Now remember, we are at 30% design. This is the point in the project where we bring on that CM to work with our design engineer to get that final GMP, that we can bring that back to council. And really, it's not a final final vote of council to go out to design unless this becomes a project that is way more expansive than we anticipated. So even at 30%, we're fairly certain that with that 40, look at the total estimated cost there, 46.2 million. That GMP is the estimated cost at 30% design. Now we'll pop over to funding strategy here. Remember that the utility is a self-sustaining utility. It's an enterprise. This is not something that, if council, you should be familiar with this, but if a lay person sees this and is like, oh, they're going to spend that on it, why don't they build a road? It's not a matter of taking water, wastewater dollars and building a road with it, or even for that matter, water dollars and putting it into the wastewater budget. So this has to self-sustain. And how do we do that? How that funding strategy is right now, we're looking at low interest financing through Whipcliffe, or that water pollution control loan fund. And repayment will be structured over 20 to 30 years, beginning after construction is complete, allowing time for the plant operation to become operational before debt service begins. Of course, our rates are always structured with debt service in mind, right? So we anticipate that you'll have to build these things. They will eventually come to the end of their service life, and you'll have to rebuild them again. They will come to the end of your service life. This is a constant ebb and flow of these enterprises. Nevertheless, why do we say 20 to 30 years? Well, I would like to point out a real life example. We worked with Congressman Troy Balderson on a $5 million ask for congressional directed spending to be implemented on this particular project. Unfortunately, we did not get that. A lot of people did not get that through the government shutdown right now. But even outside of that, if we were to say reapply for that particular specific request, and there are a multitude of other programs that we could ask for principal forgiveness on. If we were to get a $5 million congressional directed spending grant from the federal government, then we would look at restructuring the loan if that would work best for the city, right? We have to look at the long-term payment implications of that. But hey, you never know, and I'm going to speak it into existence here tonight. If you get a president or a senator or a governor that comes in and just says, hey, you know what I really like? Local municipal wastewater facilities is my priority. Crazier things have happened. If they decide to steer more of those financing, more of that, federal and state financing into these kind of programs, then that opens up the opportunity. What I'm really kind of trying to emphasize here is it is not like $46 million becomes due the minute that this becomes operational. This is, these whole enterprises are built on loan structures so that communities like ours can afford them, because they know what a burden these can be, especially when you do these major upgrades. So pursuing grants, of course, on that principal forgiveness, and the debt service begins after construction. So we would right now move from a phase of a design loan into a construction loan, and then as soon as that would become available, or as soon as that would become operational, then the debt service would begin, unless we would move in to the secondary phase of construction, and then that would push it back just a little bit longer. But again, I want you to look at that project timeline too. This was another big part of why Kokosing was a winner for us. That construction timeline, I want you to look at the substantial and final completion. That's just over 2 years. The other submitters were added another year to that timeline. And when you shift another or add another year onto that timeline, it shifts costs into operational costs for us. So even though we are very we consider greatly the costs of operation during construction, that still comes with a particular cost. So us reducing that time of completion make sure that we can focus on getting back to construction. So that's just over 2 years. That was a big benefit for us if you want to go to the rate model integration. This project's debt service has already been accounted for when we were working with our design engineer. They are also the ones that assisted us with the rate model integration, or with our rate study. And this project's debt service has been accounted for in this rate model that council has reviewed, or we talked briefly about with H2 overhaul. So there will be no need for additional rate increases beyond that discussed 11% adjustments scheduled for 26, 27, and 28. And those will, again, come back at a later time. So again, this proactive approach, and if you'll go back here, phase 2, I want to mention that phase 2 portion for capacity would only be in, we talked about this as well in that rate model, that would only be for design right now, not for construction. That would come later. So that's a proactive approach that ensures long-term financial sustainability without placing additional burdens on residents, and it reflects the city's commitment to transparency, accountability, and responsible fiscal planning in the long term. So tonight, what's next? We're asking council to authorize the CMAR agreement with Kokosing Industrial so we can move forward with the design collaboration and finalizing our funding applications with the Ohio EPA, specifically with Whipcliffe. So we have already submitted for 2025 and an additional amendment for 2026. That's a competitive program, so we have to make sure that we have all of our stuff in and are ready to get those low interest loans. We'll maintain a full transparency throughout this process with regular updates to council, and specifically with Kokosing, a detailed project tracking and open communications with the public, which they will also maintain as a CM, and then we will maintain through our website a link to their maintenance. A dedicated project web page hosts that project, will host all those projects with financial summaries and explanation of how the project benefits the community. And then we can do public briefings both here or separately, whatever is preferred. That can be held at key milestones to ensure residents are informed and engaged. And again, I come back to this project matters now. It's about protecting the river, safeguarding public health, and preparing Mount Vernon for the next generation of growth. So by acting now, we uphold our responsibility to future residents, to current residents, our local economy, and the environment that defines who we are as a community. So thank you for your time. I welcome your questions. Arcadis welcomes your questions. Our Director of Public Works and our Assistant Director of Public Works, specifically for the wastewater plant, is here.
One question that came from the very beginning, numbers you threw out. We do up to $3 million a day in treating water, but up to $6 million a day in heavy rain. What are we doing to make sure we're not treating
Gallons, not
Gallons.
dollars.
Gallons.
Gallons, not dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. Gallons of water. What are we doing to make sure, are we doing everything we can to make sure we're not treating water we don't need to be treating?
Maybe I'll have Charlie come up and explain this, but yes, we are, there's a factor called I&I, inflow and infiltration, that every community has to deal with, and we just don't know how much of it is ours. But treating rainwater or stormwater is unnecessary, and it's more harm to our wastewater treatment system because it's already clean water. And so it dilutes the capability of the biological treatment that we have over in the wastewater treatment plant, and it's lowering the effectiveness of it. So we've got lines with leaks, and we still may have some. We took care of a lot of the things over on the north end that were giving us trouble with downspouts being linked into the sewer lines. That's no longer an issue there. I don't know where else there might be some issues. And so I don't know if Charlie or Aaron, if you want to come up and address that question.
So kind
They're
of.
fighting over the microphone.
We're basically doubling what, the treatment.
Yes, depending on the rain event,
Yes.
that could be more than double. And one of the steps we're taking is a Project H2 overhaul. We're putting in flow meters out in the collection system. We'll put them in strategic spots to monitor where the inflow's coming in. And then we can do, like the mayor said, smoke testing to see if we have downspouts in there, or cracked laterals or mains. We also have a camera where you go out and video camera a lot of our mains to see what's going on down under the ground.
I remember back in the 70s, they smoked our church parish house. And we found out that the rainwater coming down from the church parish house was rainwater into our system. And smoke came out through the downspouts. So are we doing everything we can to?
That'll be something we start moving into once we get these flow monitors in. Then we can start telling what regions of the city, and then we'll start smoke testing. And then that's a matter of just taking those downspouts out and running them across the yard.
As he mentioned, Council, the secondary part that often gets forgotten about with H2 overhaul was the citywide I&I inflow and infiltration, getting those flow meters in throughout the city. And that's citywide too. Not only will that help with this event, that also allows us to collect data that when we talk to Senator Moreno's office would be critical for us to provide to the federal government if we were to ask for FEMA or Army Corps money when we look at, I look at our city engineer back there, when we look at doing any sort of work to the west end when we talk about the levee.
So you got a pretty expansive document in the agenda, in the minutes tonight. Is that a contract template, or is that the final contract that's ready to go?
So what has happened is we have, what you can see right there is Kokosing's proposal. And then we have some red, editing that we need to negotiate back and forth with. We would like tonight for your permission to sign, the authority to sign the contract with Kokosing. It will be a version of either Kokosing's document or our red lettering. It's really just kind of a negotiation back and forth at this point. But it will be a variation of what you're seeing.
You're asking us to suspend the rules.
Yes.
It was for a big number, so as council, you're comfortable with that?
And remember that this is just to approve the CMAR contract, right? They still have to go and work on the final design with Arcadis and everything like that. And Arcadis, if Joe and Dan would like to come up and talk a little bit more about that process for you. But we can't get to that final GMP until we get further along in design.
And council has to approve that.
Yeah.
The only contract you're approving today is with Kokosing, which is
Kokosing.
only a small portion of that total number. That's all that council will be authorizing the administration to do tonight. The bulk of the $40-some million projected will still need to be approved by council at a later date.
So from the public's perspective, what's it gonna cost me? On my wastewater?
Literally nothing changes after tonight. Because of tonight's vote, nothing changes. We just move closer into the process. As we talked about back when we were talking about H2 overhaul, we've already talked about rates. And rates are 3 years of 7% increases for water and 3 years of 11% increases for wastewater. And that includes this project, the phase 2 for design of this project, and that includes several other water projects, which you have a first reading on tonight. But I don't want to Oh, Lord.
Muddy the waters.
Muddy the waters, yeah.
He's taking two of my puns now.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Questions, council? How comfortable are you with suspending rules?
Well, this is just part of we've been talking about this
I know.
for months, so, and we know it's got to happen, we know CMAR's the way to do projects, so I'm comfortable with the concept tonight.
And council, we're trying to keep a tight timeline, and again, Arcadis can explain this a little bit more. We're trying to keep a tight timeline based on the Whipcliffe loan submission, just toward the end of this year, which we've already done based on prior legislation, we've already done some of that work. It could lead into next year if we had to, but we'd rather it not. So right now, if you permit us, well, regardless, we will do the negotiations with Kokosing on what they're acceptable for the language in this contract. We'll get the solid contract, whether it takes into the next meeting or not. But what we'd really like to do is be able to solidify the contract, sign it immediately, and go right to work with Kokosing and Arcadis, as opposed to getting that contractual language done and then saying, all right, well, we'll wait until November 10th.
Could somebody come up and actually elaborate on that a little bit more? Sure. As far as Whipcliffe is concerned?
The pressure on the timeline specifically, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
so essentially what happens, OWDA, they work with
WDA is who?
Ohio Water Development Authority. They're basically the bank for the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund. They meet, typically they meet the fourth Thursday of every month, except in December and November because of the holidays. So they meet on December 4th of this year to approve loans. And they need the contract information plus the resolution from City Council about a month in advance of that meeting so that they can do their work. So, you know, if we get approval tonight, then we can get them the information they need a month in advance as they require, and keep the process moving. If we don't approve it tonight and we miss their deadline, that'll push it back a month, or actually it'll push it back to the fourth Thursday of January. So we lose almost 2 months, you know, on their schedule if we can't get it tonight.
So if this isn't what we're voting on, why was this included then?
So that is that's the contractual language of Kokosing. So either you're going to get some variation of the language that's in there.
I understand that. I
Yeah.
just don't understand, we had a resolution to approve this, and this was in here, but this is not what's being approved.
Well, you're approving our authority to sign a contract with Kokosing, and that's what we currently have.
Recommend anything else?
Nope. Anybody else? What are the feelings about suspending the rules, Jay? I know that you had said you're okay with it.
How much money are we actually talking about right now then?
I mean, and that's, I guess that's my, kind of to Tammy's point. The CMAR fees don't change, and as far as the money is concerned, I mean, you can see if you go back to your slide, the CMAR fee doesn't change, their total estimated fees don't change. Rates don't move based on this legislation, so.
Until council approves the final agreement with once they bring us the CMAR price, that's when we would be required to pay the CMAR fee.
Yeah.
Right now, you're probably only getting several $100,000, which is their time during the ramp up to that.
Well, and that's not even included in this, is right now, we haven't initiated anything with Kokosing, and we can't get closer to that GMP until council approves that.
Okay, so that sparks another question. So we're nowhere near a GMP, but their fee would be based on the GMP. So
No.
their fee could change.
Their fee is, they have already guaranteed us a 4.5% of the base contract fee. That's correct. Yes.
But it could be different than the 1.8 that's in here.
No, they have already guaranteed us a base construction costs, that 4.5% that you're seeing, a CMAR fee of 4.5%.
4.5% of the GMP. Is that correct?
No. Their CMAR fee is based on the base construction cost of $40 million.
I think maybe what she's asking is if that goes up to.
You go up to the
$45 million.
microphone, please.
No, you need, come up to the microphone.
Oh, excuse me. Just to clarify, I think what you're asking is if it goes to $45 million for some reason, is it still 4.5% of that? Or is it maxed out at 1.8 million?
Right.
I'm not sure. I haven't been involved with the discussions with Kokosing, so I'm not sure what they're looking for.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there an answer to that question? I mean, is 40 is an estimate?
Right.
So if that goes to 50, is 1.8 the final number, or is 4.5 times 50 the answer?
I'm sure that theirs would be on the base construction cost. So right now, these are all estimates.
Okay.
But at 30% design, and maybe you could talk a little bit more about the 30% since Arcadis is what got us to this point. When you're looking at 4.5% of the total cost, they're going to give us a guaranteed maximum price at the end, and we're most of the way there. We should not anticipate that this come back and be $70 million.
No, we don't anticipate that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to answer the hypothetical question that's being asked.
Right.
I think typically it is based on the 4.5%. So if the GMP came in at 45 million, I think it probably would
It's going to
exceed.
go up a little
I
bit.
think it
Yeah,
would.
sure.
I think it would be based on the 4.5%.
I'm still
That's
comfortable
typically
with
how
the
it's done.
process, but I'm just trying to make sure we have the details
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah. Now, we don't anticipate that happening, but I think that's generally how it works.
The answer is that it would be 4.5% of whatever the base construction cost. So if the base construction cost increases from the $40 million, their CMAR fee would increase.
That
Just
is-
as if the base construction costs decreased, their fee would also decline.
Yeah,
is
I'm just
correct.
I'm more worried about, or concerned about, the projected 11% increases for 3 years will cover this. What if? Because it's not just that first line that's going to go up, it's going to be all of them.
Well, 11% is on the rates.
On the rates.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
not on the contract.
yeah, not on the contract.
I think that the question she asked was, her concern is that if the total price for the base construction goes up, will the 11% be sufficient to pay
Correct.
for it? Is that the?
Right, correct. I mean, I'm hearing confidence that this, as it's laid out right here, will be covered by the 11, 11, 11.
We'll also consider that, this is a 40-year plan here.
Yeah.
And we anticipate that when we did the rate model, that there would be sustained growth throughout that too. So there's going to be new customers that come online. There's going to be, it's not just we have to remember that we're not frozen in time too. So the revenues that we're getting today are not the revenues that we're going to have 10 years from now.
So the rate model is somewhat complex because it does assume that there's growth, and that you're collecting tap fees for new customers, and and they've got the rate increases built in. I think that model is generally conservative. So depends on how much it went up. I mean, if it doubled, obviously, I don't think the 11% would be sufficient. But, if it goes up to 45 million or it goes down to 35 million, there's probably not going to be a change, in that 11% rate increase is necessary. I think the way it's planned now, it should be sufficient to cover it.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, just to piggyback off of that, I'm comfortable with the process and this being a fairly small step and fairly lengthy process, so
I am as
would
well.
like to take it to a third reading this evening. So that's all I have.
Okay, we're adjourning the waste water treatment plant with utilities. We're now at recess until 7:30 PM. We begin the legislative portion of the meeting. Right now, I only have one person speaking on matters of city concern. If anybody else in the audience wants to speak on matters of city concern, let the clerk know. And we are in recess until 7:30.
Fidgeting.
It is Ross Slaughter here. Want to excuse? You want to excuse or not?
I'll make the motion to excuse Amber.
Second?
And moved and seconded that she be excused. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. She is excused. The invocation this evening will be given by Pastor Ross Slaughter from the First Presbyterian Church. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge.
Quickly, a foreword. It seems to me that our community needs four things: good health care for the body, good education for the mind, it needs strong and healthy churches for the spirit, and it needs good and wise government for the good ordering of the community. Jeremiah 29. These are the words of Jeremiah, and he says, "Seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare." Let's pray. Well, gracious God, we thank you. We thank you that this group of people have given their lives to the good ordering in this community and see in their vision a healthy community. We thank you for all their hard work. They do things here in council. They take care of things in committee. They have their individual lives to also navigate and negotiate. So, Lord, be with this group of people tonight. Be with their deliberations. Guide their decisions. We ask that we would all have the good of this community in our hearts, in our vision, and in our plans. We thank you for this opportunity to praise you. It's in the name of Jesus Christ that we pray this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, on your packets are the minutes from the October 13th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Now I'd ask for a motion for approval.
So move. Second?
Second, they be approved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They are approved. Mr. Sherman, any petitions or communications?
No.
And council, in your packets are the committee reports from the October 13th meeting for your review. I see no liquor control licenses or proclamations. We do have two people wanting to speak on matters of public concern. The first one is Dr. Edward A. Thomas from Mallard Point. Please come to the podium and state your name and address and limit your comments to 4 minutes. If you need additional 4, you can appeal that to council for another 4.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your service. I'm Dr. Edward Thomas, and I'm a retired business professor. I am requesting your attention on an ongoing parking problem on Mallard Point that has become a significant safety concern for our neighborhood. Many residents and visitors are parking on both sides of the street, which makes it extremely difficult for us to navigate our cars between the parked vehicles and to safely back out of our driveways. The situation not only creates a hazardous environment for drivers, but also poses risk to pedestrians and children playing nearby. There is also a concern that emergency response vehicles would be delayed responding to emergency situations because they were impeded by the way cars are parked on the street. Such a delay could be a matter of life and death in this certain situation. And additionally, parked vehicles are often blocking mailboxes, preventing the mailman from delivering our mail. The inconvenience affects daily life for many of us and further highlights the need for a solution. So I thank you for your time, and thank you for considering this. And I do have a picture on a cell phone if you want to see the traffic problem we had this today. If anybody would like to see it real quick, that's up to you folks.
Yeah, why not?
This wasn't photoshopped or anything, correct?
Only the finest AIs.
Problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. The other person speaking on matters of public concern is our quarterly report that we get from our Public Health Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, members of council. It's hard to believe. Here we are again. I feel like every time, it's like 3 months has already gone by. Saturday is going to be November. Life's already going crazy with the spending, right? So Amazon's living at my house. Stats in front of you, as always, any questions? Where we were year to date with Lyme disease at the end of third quarter onto October 1st was 108 cases last year. As you can see, it's almost a 40% increase of last year's numbers, and we'll continue, unfortunately, to see some of those cases climb throughout the duration of the year. Obviously, with the colder months, black-legged deer ticks slow down, but as I've mentioned, and I will continue to mention, can be dead in the middle of winter. You still can contract Lyme, unfortunately. Black-legged deer ticks will continue to be mobile. So continue to provide that education. My infectious disease nurses have been going out to elementary schools and doing a tick buster program to educate our second, third graders. It's where we got to start, right? We got to really start having that understanding at a young age of it's not just a typical tick that we've all knew growing up, and we have to find ourselves in a position that we're well educated and our response mechanisms help assist chronic disease. In reference to code enforcement, I know Scott's here, Brian, my team, they've been doing a great job in collaboration. I tell you, Scott and Brian really have hit the ground running and have been nothing but great supporters working with our teams to ensure that we do what we can in regards to solid waste buildings that continue to be an issue within our communities. So thank you to Scott and Brian, and I look forward to that partnership continuing. We had an emotional health forum conducted actually in this room last week. Again, as part of our strategy to bring awareness to mental health, behavioral health, substance use disorder. And the forum was really tailored behind the holidays and what those triggers potentially can be for anyone, right? Regardless if that's trauma or not, it can be highly stressful, as we just talked about, right? The amount of money that sometimes people overextend themselves. And then we really started ramping up awareness of suicide prevention. I know we obviously had an event within our community recently, but you start to see that coming out of the winter months, as it was when suicides really start to ramp up across our nation. So just trying to get that ahead, and just it's okay to not be okay, and having a culture that accepts that rather than tries to bury their head in the sand is something that we continue to educate and promote. I will tell you, among our youth, especially in school systems, it's not abnormal for them to admit those things, and that's a great direction for us as a society. Sometimes life's hard, right? And it's okay to say that. Influenza season's right around the corner, RSV, all that fun stuff. So continue to provide opportunities for individuals to become vaccinated as they so choose. Individuals, especially for RSV 65 and older, and those with underlying health conditions that could potentially have severeness of upper respiratory, we continue to educate individuals that it's important to get those mitigating efforts. And lastly, when I was here in July, we were having our health center week at the Hiawatha Pool, and we had a record attendance, just almost 350 participants that Friday evening. So it's, again, another opportunity in collaboration with the city and creating, for those that potentially can't typically afford to attend those type of things. Not only was admissions free, but then they also received dinner while enjoying the park. So great collaboration, but even better thing for our community. So what questions do you all have for me?
I have a comment. I took my my dogs for a walk, the two white dogs, and we found at least a dozen deer ticks. They're still out there.
Yeah.
And I was surprised, to find that many this time of year, but and my wife did have Lyme disease last year, and it's a real threat.
Yeah, it's not a joke, that's for sure.
Any other questions?
There have been a couple trailers over at Foundation Park. Do you know what is that?
CDC.
I'm not familiar with trailers at Foundation Park.
CDC.
It was CDC. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. There are a couple trailers.
Scott?
that have been over at Foundation Park they've been there a couple weeks or so. I don't know. I mean, they have something to do with health screening or something, I believe.
I believe it's a mobile unit.
Oh, it's probably Behavior Healthcare Partners mobile unit would be my.
Okay.
It's a guess. It's not ours, but BHP does have one that's shared between Knox and Licking.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys have a good evening.
Council, we're now ready for the agenda. We do have one change to the agenda. The one issue dealing with the parks should be Mrs. Hager as opposed to one that's assigned here. So that, with that change, are there any additions or other corrections to the agenda? That being said, I would assume the agenda is approved by consensus, and we now move to resolutions for third reading. And got mine out of order. Mr. Sherman.
Resolution number 2025-95. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a 3-year contract with Knox County for information technology services and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, I move to adopt resolution number 2025-95.
Second?
And
move to second for the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion? Mr. Mahan.
Council, there are going to be a couple Scribner's errors, corrections, which are just corrections of typographical errors. I believe that Patty is going to become party in a couple locations. So Patty out, party in, party on. I was advised by our city attorney that does not require an amendment, but is indeed a Scribner's error, just going to be corrected. Do you have any questions on that? If not, I think we're ready to go.
Any other questions? Mr. Sherman.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Mrs. Siebold.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Next, we go to resolution for second reading. That's resolution number 2025-106. Mr. Sherman.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a qualifications-based construction manager-at-risk contract with Kokosing Industrial, Inc. for the Mount Vernon Wastewater Treatment Plant Phosphorus and Solids Improvements Project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I move to suspend the rules requiring 3 separate readings and to move Resolution 2025-106 to its third and final reading.
Second?
Been moved and seconded for the suspension of the rules. Any discussion on the suspension? Mr. Sherman.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Mrs. Siebold.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Rule is suspended. Mr. Ruckman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know this is just another step on.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Yes, I move to adopt Resolution 2025-106.
Second.
Wake up.
I knew that.
One of us wants to talk too much. Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded for the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion? Mr. Ruckman.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll try this again. What I was saying was I know that this is another step in a very long process, and I know a good many of us have put quite a few hours and work and consideration and conversation into this. So I know that we've talked about it earlier this evening and in our committee meeting that may have gone just a little over the 30 minutes that I asked for. But all of that aside, so I think this is definitely the right move to keep this going forward and definitely to gain the 2 months that we talked about, if at all possible, so.
May I? I spent a couple years on on Utilities Commission also, so I understand the need for this. This has been talked about since long before I got on council. I understand the need, and I won't be sitting in this seat when this is implemented. I guess my only caution is, yes, this is the first step, but once you start that ball rolling, it tends to build up momentum. And what's being talked about here is compounded a 37% increase for people in their wastewater bills. And I don't want to take the focus off that. That's huge for folks. Anything in their lives that goes up 37% in 3 years is going to have an impact. So I would just advocate for, those numbers are going to grow. I've been in enough building projects to know those are going to grow. Just advocate for administration, do whatever you can to find us some free money would be fabulous. Interest-free money would be great. But just keep that in mind as this progresses. Thank you.
To that point, how long were you on utilities? Because I knew that this was talked about before you were there, and when I came on, it was still being, okay. Yeah, it's been a while. I appreciate that, though.
Any other discussion? Mr. Severns, Mr. Sherman.
Yeah, no, what are you gonna do?
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Mrs. Seavolt.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Next resolution is for first reading. It's resolution number 2025-107. Mr. Sherman.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a qualifications-based contract with Pizzuti Solutions LLC for owner's representative services related to the construction of new municipal buildings and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Severns.
Yes, Mr. President, we will give this a first reading tonight. And
This
we do
resolution
need a 30-minute committee meeting to discuss this.
Brace yourselves.
This resolution states its first reading. Now we move to resolutions 2025-108. Mr. Sherman.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids and enter into contract for the aquatic features reconditioning and restoration project at Hiawatha Water Park and declaring an emergency.
Says Mr.
Yes, we will give this a first reading tonight. We need a committee.
That's actually Mrs. Hager.
Actually.
Yeah, I thought
Legislation.
that was Mrs. Hager.
Oh, yeah.
Hiawatha Water Park. Yeah.
Yes, we will give this a reading tonight, and we don't need any emergency declaration on this or anything. I didn't think so. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next resolution is resolution number 2025-109. Mr. Sherman.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to release a request for qualifications for identifying and selecting a qualified firm or firms to provide professional design services related to the construction of 1, Slaker's lime silos at the water treatment plant, 2, a sodium hypochlorite treatment system to replace the chlorine dioxide treatment system at the water treatment plant, and 3, a water tower in the southern part of the city, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to give the 2025-109 its first reading and request a 30-minute committee meeting at our next meeting.
Okay. Have dinner before you come next meeting. We have a lot of committee meetings. This resolution receives its first reading. Now I move to resolution number 2025-110. Mr. Severns. Mr. Sherman.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids and enter into contract for the 2024 CDBG Riverside Park Neighborhood Project and declaring an emergency.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes. What?
This deals with parks.
This is Parks too?
No.
This should be.
No.
No, this would be me.
Okay.
I can act like Mrs. Hager tonight.
It says Riverside Park Neighborhood Project.
Yes, but this is, ouch, we've lost it. Yes, we'll give a first reading, and we will not have a committee meeting this time, but we will probably in the third reading, but no committee meeting.
Okay.
First reading.
This
Thank you.
resolution receives its first reading. Now I move to resolution number 2025-111. Mr. Sherman.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids and enter into contract for the 2024 CDBG Burgess and Hamtramck Street Reconstruction Project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Severance.
Yes, we'll give this a first reading.
This resolution receives its first reading. Now I move to ordinances. We have an ordinance for third reading. That's an ordinance authorizing the reconstruction of parking on one side of Mallard Point. Mr. Sherman.
Ordinance number 2025-30, an ordinance authorizing the restriction of parking on one side of Mallard Point.
Mr. Severance.
Yes, I move to adopt ordinance 2025-30.
Second?
I move to second for the adoption of this ordinance. Any discussion? Mr. Severance.
Yes, we do have a letter that a specific resident asked us to read, so I'll ask Mr. Sherman to go ahead and read that. We'll start that off.
As Mallard Point homeowners of 41 Mallard Point since early 2024, and as Mount Vernon residents and homeowners for over 40 years, we three together write to provide comment regarding proposed ordinance number 2025-30. We further read with concern the October 18th Knox Pages coverage of the Mount Vernon Council discussion of this ordinance in the past meeting of October 13th. Specifically, we noted comments reported from the meeting of October 13th regarded 1, a purported disregard of parking by certain Mallard Point residents, 2, a reference to provisions for medical vehicles for the group home on Mallard Point. This letter is to provide comment upon both the ordinance and in response to both points mentioned in the Knox Pages coverage. We provide the below in the belief, based upon recent events, the reported meeting comments are in part directed towards our residents, although no addresses or names were mentioned in the article. Point 1. Regarding the purported disregard of the temporary ordinance on parking, on the morning of September 23rd, I, Janice, was startled to find a police officer at my front door, insistent to speak to me concerning a reported seeming refusal to obey a new temporary parking ordinance due to our parking of a vehicle in front of our residence. I listened politely to what the officer had to say and patiently waited. For background, I had just returned the prior evening on September 22nd from 3 weeks of travel. I was away for 2 weeks in Scotland and Ireland with my oldest son, then to Washington, D.C. Thus, I had just the morning of September 23rd read the letter from Mount Vernon City Council. When the officer finished, he patiently listened to me. I explained those who are there at our Mallard Point resident are there to care for Kevin, my 48-year-old son, and did not open my private mail. Thus, both I and my sons were unaware of the temporary ordinance until after my return. While surprised and concerned by the officer's initial attitude towards me, I do appreciate that his attitude quickly softened when he knew the truth and understood no one at our home was refusing to comply, nor would we. As soon as possible, the minivan vehicle of which the officer spoke was moved. The specific noted vehicle is Kevin's way of transportation at a moment's notice, since he is quadriplegic. He therefore cannot be transported from our home in any vehicle without a ramp or a lift. Point 2. Reference made to the group home at Mallard Point. We think this term possibly refers to our private residence and wanted to clarify as well as advise on the term used. Our home on Mallard Point provides many amenities which we enjoy in an equally beautiful and welcoming neighborhood. The layout of the home is also better suited than previous homes owned, including its private elevator, for the accessibility and care for our 48-year-old son and brother Kevin. Kevin is a very talented man and artist whose independent thinking does not, however, extend to independent living due to his special needs. For more than half his life, his 24/7 caregiving was provided by myself, Janice, and my loving, now deceased husband, Wesley, a retired minister, decorated Vietnam veteran, and himself born and raised in Mount Vernon, like his family for generations before. Kevin's caregiving has been further supported over the last 20 years by a series of personal caregivers and nurses who provide round-the-clock care on a rotating long-shift basis. Accordingly, these are vehicles which arrive at our home in relation to Kevin's care, including a daily medical nurse and one overnight caregiver. In relation to Kevin's care, they enter and exit our home, parking in the driveway or street. We therefore appreciate the consideration for these vehicles referenced in the council meeting. We also think it's important to note that our home is a private residence. Our beautiful residence is co-owned by Janice and James and occupied by immediate family members, with the rotating non-residential cares noted. This includes 2 caregiving individuals who rotate and split up the number of days and nights in the week to provide for Kevin's needs. It is not a group home, which of course refers to a residence licensed by the state of Ohio for a small group of unrelated individuals receiving 24-hour medical care and supervision by non-family members. While certainly not believing so in the case of our neighborhood, we note the term group home can at times be used as a negative stereotype, rather than referring to a licensed facility. Using the definition with precision is particularly important. Finally, regarding the language and passage of the proposed ordinance, which we understand to be the first such ordinance requested and proposed in the 25-year history of our Mallard Neighborhood Homeowners Association. We understand the public safety vehicle concerns expressed as the basis for this ordinance and register no concerns with the imposition of this ordinance if that addresses emerging needs in our neighborhood. We likewise register no concerns with enforcement of this ordinance within our neighborhood, understanding it will be irrespective of the specific address. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comment concerning this parking ordinance and for the attention of the council to this matter for our shared beautiful neighborhood along Mallard Point. We further request and provide permission for the entirety of this letter to be read and published in the public record of comment received proposed Mount Vernon City Ordinance number 2025-30. Sincere and best regards, Janice McCammon, James McCammon, Kevin McCammon.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. This is a letter that is in support of this ordinance. And we also heard a gentleman speak this evening, Dr. Edwards, and he gave me a really good grade in one of my grad classes, so I would not want to disappoint him as well. Just kidding. No, so I have not heard any opposition to this at all, and I spoke to a resident even Thursday night at the meeting, the meeting of the candidates, who speaks highly in favor of it, and at the recent any meetings they've had recently, everyone has spoken in support of this ordinance. So I've heard nothing negative about this. If there is anything negative, it has not come forward to us. So I think this is the right thing to do, Council, from what I'm hearing from all these residents.
Any other discussion? Mr. Sherman?
Mrs. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mrs. Siebel?
Yes.
Mr. Severns?
Yes.
Mr. Mahan?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted. The final ordinance this evening is for first reading. That's ordinance number 2025-33. Mr. Sherman?
An ordinance to approve, adopt, and enact the August 2025 replacement pages to the codified ordinances, to repeal ordinances in conflict therewith, to publish the enactment of new matter, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mahan?
Mr. Sherman, do you have the packet involved? We annually show this to all the council members and invite them to read it. So, there you go.
I could read it out loud.
Please.
We'll give this its first reading, Mr. President.
This ordinance receives its first reading. That concludes the legislative portion of the meeting. We now move to remarks from the administration. Mayor Starr.
Thank you, Mr. President and Council. A few things I wanted to just mention to you all. I passed out a sheet out there. It's called, it's from MORPSI. It's called Leaders Listen Survey. It's something that we've been sharing. And again, if you are welcome to scan the QR code, share that on any of your social media. We've shared it online as well. This Leaders Listen Survey happens to be about sustainability. So if you happen to have any particular opinions about the word sustainability or the efforts about sustainability, now's your chance to weigh in with the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. The deadline is on the 31st, so Friday. They will be shutting that off, and if you'd like more information, you can see, you can see Todd, because we're going to be in D.C. for a reason that I'll talk with you about in a little bit. The aggregation letters are out. They are out. You got yours too. So there are, I think it's a very well-written letter. It explains everything that you need to know about the aggregation. If you have questions about the aggregation, there is a direct line to Dynegy and a direct email to Dynegy to be able to answer those questions, or get those questions answered, obviously, yes. And then obviously there are numerous ways to opt out. Everyone has a right to opt out, and if you can find a better deal, good for you. I'm very happy for you. So that is, but just beware that you do read the fine print, and it's not a teaser rate and it will go up, or it locks you into a contract that you have to pay a fee to get out of. Anyway, so just be aware that that is coming. I wanted to congratulate also our engineering team for, they apply for several grants every year, and we were fortunate enough to be awarded a Ohio Nature Works grant in the amount of $47,681, which will go to pay for not all, but portion of the restroom facility at Arch Avenue Park. If you recall the survey that we did of the neighborhood on the west end, the #1 requested item at Arch Avenue Park was a restroom. And so that money, once we get the plans in order and everything, is going to go to help pay for that. So we're really excited about that, and we'll have more numbers, and particularly in the money that we, or the grants that we apply for at the end of the year through the annual report in the state of the city. But engineering team has been on fire, and I know that some of those young people who have been helping out in that have really been doing a terrific job with Brian and his team. Trick or treat is this Friday, 5:30 p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Be safe, slow down, make sure that you are being responsible with that. If you do not want to do that and you would rather go to the football game, there are dozens of other trick or treats happening in the community. You're welcome to take part in that. But as my predecessor and his predecessor said, trick or treat will always be on Halloween. And so I am happy to carry forward that, Mayor Mavis. So anyway, and I'm just going to blame you for that. How about that? Anyway, no. So, but just again, slow down and be safe about that. Another thing that is coming up that you will be seeing by the end of the year is the Greater Downtown Management Council, and the more specifically the recommendations from the Lodging Tax Distribution Committee. There is some organizational measures that we need to make in terms of the GDMC, which is many of the people who are working on development in the downtown area in particular. And then the local tax distribution committee, the bed tax, the lodging tax, not the local, the lodging tax distribution committee will be creating proposals to see how that is distributed. This committee makes a recommendation to council. Council makes the appropriation based on what their recommendations are. So you will have the final say in that. That will be coming possibly in November, maybe early December, but we have to have it done by the end of the year. So Mr. Brinkman and I will be very well ensconced in that, and the chamber is the lead. And since Carol Grubaugh has retired, Debbie Ruggles is the acting director right now, and so she will be spearheading this, and we'll be getting to the bottom of this. And I want to take a moment to speak directly. Councilman Woods talked about looking for money on these utilities, and yes, that is something that we are doing. In fact, Tanner and I are heading to Washington, D.C. tomorrow. We are going to a conference on Wednesday, but we have an appointment with Congressman Balderson's office. In particular, we did ask for $5 million. We did ask for $5 million for this project already, and we are going back to, we're citing the Water Resources Development Act of 1999, which this wastewater treatment plant very, very nicely qualifies in terms of that, and that's if you're interested, that's Section 594 of that. So yeah, I know if you light reading, no problem. But yes, we always going after grants, going after the money that is going to be very important for us to offload those costs, trying to get trying to retrieve some of those federal and state tax dollars. So with DC shut down pretty much, or Congress shut down right now, I don't know, but Congressman Balderson is, if it's not him, it will be at least as one of his staffers that we will be meeting and talking with about this particular project, where we know we're going to look for help everywhere we can. So That's the meeting that we're going to take, and if we can get into the senators, we will, but haven't had luck getting in front of them yet. But we're going to pursue everything we can, and hopefully it makes a difference that we're on their turf. Anyway, that is all, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Sawyers.
Thank you, Council. You've had to make big, tough decisions, and you'll have some more big, tough decisions to make. And it's not easy to sit where you sit. I think sometimes people think it's easy to sit where you sit. The mayor and I have sat where you sit. And sometimes I don't know why you sit where you sit. But as I've said to others before, why are we in public service? It's like riding a Harley or listening to Jimmy Buffett. If I have to explain it to you, you'll never understand. But thank you for doing what you do, and that is all.
Mr. Brinkman.
Nothing tonight, Mr. President. Thank you.
Mr. Stoller.
Good evening. So the income tax office received a call that apparently there was a man in Fredericktown posing as an employee of the income tax office and trying to collect back taxes. So I just want to assure the public that that's not what we do. We don't go door to door. So rest assured that is not us. But I will say, this earlier this year or late last year, I don't know how it came through, whether it was an email to me or whatever, but the Ohio Attorney General was offering a service to collect back taxes. We looked into it and seemed pretty good, so we signed up. And since February, and so the Ohio Attorney General, they can take money from your federal tax return, state tax return. If you go to the horse track, they can take gambling winnings, casino, sports gambling, all that stuff. So if you think you're having a night out and you owe us money, we're going to take it from you. So since February, we have collected $30,000 from 50 delinquent taxpayers. So that's a lot easier than knocking on doors. So we will not be knocking on doors or doing that. So I just thought that was a good good return. All right, thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Braun.
A couple of weeks back, Mr. Sawyers noted that in the run-up to election season, there are many election signs out, but you cannot put them in the tree lawn or adjacent to the streets here in the city. As I've been out and about, I have noticed that some of those signs have migrated into the tree lawn, and we ask people to remove them from city property. Thank you.
I also noticed one was very large. Isn't there a size limit for the signs?
Yes, there are size limits.
So we need to address that too.
I would extend that to all signs.
Yes, well.
And in right-of-ways, public right-of-ways.
Mr. Severns.
Yeah, just a few things here tonight. So the mayor talked about this, the letter. So if you want probably what I would consider to be the best electric rate, you should shred this and then recycle it. That's all you need to do, because you don't need to do anything to stay in the electric aggregation. So Karen Ann Bookwald Wright, Dr. Karen Wright. The funeral on Saturday, I wrote these out. For Dr. Karen Wood was beautiful and simple. I'm so thankful that I attended as a local citizen, as an MVNU employee where her generosity is evident in several campus and downtown buildings, and as a city council member where she has poured millions of dollars into the whole city. It was estimated that Dr. Wright gave over $100 million to the Mount Vernon community while she was alive. This wealthy, down-to-earth, charitable person is a hero of our community and will be missed. A few years back, MVNU bestowed on Karen Wright an honorary doctorate, an honor so well deserved. Then I want to just remind everybody to vote. You can vote between now and Election Day. Election Day is the 4th, but you can vote at the Board of Elections prior to then. And the last thing I just want to talk about briefly is just transparency. The dictionary on my phone uses these words to define transparency: clarity, clearness, lucency, among others. That's a good word. In government, transparency refers to openness, accessibility, and accountability. Some residents in Mount Vernon believe there is a lack of transparency in our local government. As I stated on Thursday evening at the meeting of the candidates put on by Knox Pages, thank you, Cheryl, I believe the current administration has been and desires to be transparent. Additionally, this current administration, as well as all city council members, invite public comment on a regular basis. For example, we held 9 public meetings that were opportunities for the public to engage in sharing ideas about the 3 public buildings/spaces that we need in the city: a police station, a justice center, and city hall. I believe that I attended all but one of those meetings. The most residents I saw at one of the 8 meetings was actually on a Saturday morning at Happy Bean, and there were about 10, maybe 12 max. The meetings were valuable for those that attended as well as for city administration. We listen to your ideas. But my point is that very few citizens, let's just say that there's about 17,000 or so, let's just say there's maybe 10,000 adults. But 10 out of 10,000 to come to these meetings is not very many. And I'm not saying we need to have 500 people there, although that would be amazing. But the key that I'm talking about is that people want transparency and they want to be informed, but we need people to speak up. We do. Greg Yashnik, writing candidate for the 3rd Ward, did say something on Thursday evening to the effect that if there is perceived lack of transparency, then the city administration needs to work strategically to be more transparent. I agree, and I will do my part to help. All of our email addresses are on the city website as well as our phone number, so you can always reach out to us. So I just want to talk. I mean, transparency is important, and I talked about when I first came on that trust is critical. If we cannot trust the people that are up here around this, whatever, half moon, then that is not a good thing. The people need to trust us. And transparency goes right along with that trust. So I just wanted to tell residents and remind you that your voice matters. You email us, I read those. I may not always agree with what you're stating, but I will reply to you. If you call me, I call most everybody back. There is one voicemail I have that I have kept that I will not return a call to that person, but it was rather interesting. But the important thing is we need to be transparent with the public. That is important, and that is how you develop trust. So I want you to know that I promise to do that. Thanks, Mr. President.
Mr. Mahan.
Thank you, sir. I also had the opportunity to attend Dr. Wright's funeral, and that you see the name on the walls and you hear the name, but just being able to attend and really hear the stories was even a gift in itself, and it was inspirational and it was challenging. Dr. Wright took care of her family, she took care of her employees, she took care of her town, those who were in her moral proximity, the people right next to her. And I appreciated that, and I was challenged by that. It's easy to think about, and there are good causes that address global situations, but we need to be neighbors to the people right here. And she'll be missed, and I very much hope, as was suggested in the service, that there's going to be a Karen Wright 2.0 somewhere. But it's a challenge, and I hope we'll all share in that. Oh, thank you, sir.
Mrs. Woods?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Mrs. Sebo?
Thank you. Well, our Mount Vernon football team got into the championship, so Friday night, if you want to go to Ashland, 7 o'clock is the football game. So I'm going to head to Ashland and root for them, even though Ashland's team is really good. But I'm going to be there cheering for them, so we can be proud of our Mount Vernon team. That's all.
Mrs. Hager?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to compliment the Mount Vernon Arts Consortium for another successful rock out with Fog Hat on Saturday night. It was fantastic. We're really fortunate to have the Mount Vernon Arts Consortium work with like the Memorial Building and the Woodward Opera House and the Ariel Foundation Park to bring us such extraordinary talent and entertainment and energy. I got to interact directly with Fog Hat, and they loved Mount Vernon, they loved our community, they loved the people, they loved everything. So MVAC and the city of Mount Vernon knocked it out of the park again. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reichman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to congratulate Julia Suggs and the Knox County Work Dev team, everybody who's involved in that. For anybody who hasn't heard, they actually won an Excellence in Workforce Development Award. So just that's fantastic for our community and that we have them here. And we appreciate all of the work that they put in. And Sam Filkins also was named Economic Developer of the Year. So congratulations to him. That's just a testament to all of the hard work that the ADF puts in for our community and for the members of our community. And just wanted to say that we appreciate that and wanted to congratulate them. Also, it's approximately 8 weeks till Christmas.
Oh.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Ho, ho, ho.
I also attended Mrs. Wright's memorial, and quite a crowd there. And people really understand what she gives to this community, and she'll be dearly missed. I've served on boards with her, and she's quite a person. And I certainly am glad I went there and got to hear all the testimonies about her and what she's done for this community. That being said, thank you for the media for being here this evening, and I'll call for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Everyone, second, we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.